What's up, film fans, and welcome to my YouTube channel MC on Film and my review for Thor Ragnarok. Now, the last time we saw Thor was in Avengers Age of Ultron, and he was starting to get visions of Asgard, his home city? And he went off on a solo mission to try to find out what was causing those visions to be formed, and that's where Ragnarok starts off. Now, Ragnarok is the ancient legend of the destroying of Asgard, and it's brought about by the return of Hela, the goddess of death, who is also Odin's first child, unbeknownst to Thor and Loki. And when she returns to Asgard, she gets all of her full powers back, and Thor and Loki need to return to Asgard to stop her, and there's your movie. Now, let's be honest, the first two Thor movies, no one's really gonna be putting them at the top of their favorite Marvel movie list. Thor 1 was nice, it was entertaining, it was a great introduction to the character, but Thor 2, I don't think anyone remembers a single thing about it. It was just very blah. So it was time for this character and this franchise to get a fresh start, a reboot if you will. And they picked the right man for the job. Director Taika Waititi, who's a New Zealand director, best known for Hunt for the Wilder People and What We Do in the Shadows. And if you haven't seen those movies already, go out and see them. They're freaking hilarious. So he directs Thor Ragnarok, and he brings that goofy sense of humor from those movies to the Thor franchise, and it's a big success. And you may not think that that kind of silly humor would be a match for a story about gods and immortals and whatnot, but it really does work really well, and part of that success is due to the team up with Thor and Hulk, and also Valkyrie and Loki. Now, Thor, he's always been a cool character just because he's a god and he's immortal and all that, but he hasn't been the most relatable character. So I think it was a good move to team him up with a character like the Hulk, who would ground his character more and make him more relatable. And Marvel's been doing this for a while now. They've been teaming up their main characters with strong supporting characters like Captain America and Falcon. Ant-Man's gonna have the Wasp in the next film. So it's been an ongoing thing just because Marvel has such a deep bench of players that they can pick from, and it's great to see all these supporting characters make the film more enjoyable, and that definitely works for Thor Ragnarok. Now back to the comedy angle, Chris Hemsworth has proven in other films like Ghostbusters and Vacation. The dude is funny. I mean, he just knows how to do comedy, so it's natural for him to instill that comedic tone to Thor. Mark Ruffalo is great as the Hulk once again. Cate Blanchett, she's obviously enjoying hamming it up for this role as Hela, but her character as the main villain is, again, another Marvel movie villain who's not quite as menacing and as dangerous as they want you to think they are, but I'll get into that in a little bit. Jeff Goldblum as the Grand Master, he's great, and he's basically playing himself at this point, but he's always awesome. So the cast, the performances, they're really cool. I had a great time. There's so much humor in this movie that, you know, it's almost like a comedy, but it makes it for a very fun time. And that's my one word review for the film. It's just a lot of fun. It's fun. The jokes work really well. It's very light, and I think that take on the Thor franchise was the step in a new direction that this franchise needed. Now, there were a couple of things that didn't quite work for me. I mentioned Hela earlier, and her inclusion and her storyline was very disjointed, and it's because the film feels like it's telling two different stories. There's one story of Thor and the Hulk teaming up on this planet ruled by the Grandmaster Jeff Goldblum, and they're playing this gladiator kind of thing, and there's that story, and there's Hela and her quest on Asgard to take over the crown from her dad. So the film goes back and forth between these two settings, and it gets a little disjointed, and it kind of loses momentum when it does that. I mean, you really want to concentrate on Thor and Hulk, and that's the fun part of the movie. And the part about Hela, well, it has to be there because that's the main point of the film, but it really takes you away from your enjoyment of the movie, and it doesn't really come together until Thor and Hulk and Loki all get back to Asgard, and then you have a satisfying finale. And so in the beginning, also, it takes a bit of a while for the film to get going, and I think that leads to an overall sense of, it feels a little bloated, a little overly long. At the end of the movie, I checked my watch, it was just 2 hours long, so it wasn't too bad, but it felt like it could have been a little more leaner, so there's a little bit of that. But overall, I must say, I had a great time with Thor Ragnarok. It's fun, it's a fresh take on the character and the franchise, the supporting characters. Oh, I forgot to mention Valkyrie. Valkyrie was always this cool warrior chick in the comic books, and I loved how they portrayed her in the film, played by Tessa Thompson. She's great. She's a great addition to the franchise, so I have to mention her as well. As for future Thor films, I'm not quite sure where they can take his character further from here, unless they bring in a Beta Ray Bill story, then that would be kind of cool. But other than that, I'm not quite sure where they can go with it. But for now, Thor Ragnarok is a fresh take on the franchise and the character. It's fun, it's entertaining, it's funny. It's a great addition to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I will give Thor Ragnarok 8 out of 10. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so by clicking on that stupid mug down there, and come back next week for another movie review.